Good afternoon. It's going very well. Collectively, are we all well? Is there anyone who's not well who wants to speak up?
Migraine.
Mike, I'm so sorry about that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
What
Eisner Awards, flashing lights overhead, stress.
What have we done anything to solve
Yes, pills.
And also,
Unfortunately, they don't anti-gills.
that? Good. That's probably my fault, actually.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I know you dazzled
Come
me
to
with
think of it,
multiple-
I have a migraine too.
Okay. That sounds about
I
right.
have a question about the tone of this show. Because I feel like a lot of the work you've done has been very hyper-realistic, even though it's been really extreme.
Yeah.
And so, are we going to get a very realistic look at Satan or at the Antichrist? Are we going to, or is it going to be full-blown like gothic, kind of fantasy?
Oh, that's a great question. No, it is realistic. We're using the original 1976 film as the source, not only of the story, but of the style of filmmaking. And that film was very grounded. It felt like it was taking place in this world. And so we're trying to follow that. I think that's what makes the horror play, if we feel that it's real. Once something becomes very involved on, very dependent on special effects or something, I tend to feel not as frightened, to tell you the truth. So we're trying to stay as realistic feeling as possible.
So is it more like a thriller as opposed to horror, or more?
No, it's a horror. It's both a horror and a thriller. I mean, if you think about it, the character of Damien is involved in a conspiracy that's being run by Satan. Okay, well, hopefully that's thrilling. But, we certainly have those horror sequences which, that The Omen is known for. So we're both, it gives us a lot to play with every week.
Are there certain types of effects we can expect?
What's that?
Any kind of certain effects, special effects? Are we going to see? Any part of hell?
We have something that I think is very special in the first episode. I don't want to give anything away, but there's something that will be sort of unique to Damien, and that I think horror fans of the film will enjoy. But so there's a little surprise there for me.
The original film has a real atmosphere of inevitability.
Mm-hmm.
This is what Damien is meant to do. How interested are you guys in that with this? Is it now that he's older, are you interested in more of a struggle between who he is and who he wants to be, I guess?
Do you want to take that?
I think that's another one for you.
Okay. I would say this. I think that the character is always facing a question of fate versus free will. If there are higher force or greater forces leading him along a certain path, how can he fight against that? And I think that is a question of his own humanity, but I'm sure those forces would not be interested in his answer. So that's where we get our story from.
It's a good job you answered that.
Thank you. Yeah.
This is kind of a darker role for you, so what attracted you to take on Damien?
It was reading the script. That's probably a standard answer for most actors when they go, "Oh, I love the script." But you get sent lots of scripts as an actor. You read them, and a lot of the time you go. And that was far from the case with this one. It prompted my imagination, and that is exciting, isn't it? It doesn't happen. And then I think just sort of discovering the passion that was behind this project, and the ideas, and the clear sort of thought process that was clearly behind it, just instilled that passion that I had for the part. And I had a long time to sort of get ready for it, and it was a lot of time kind of chomping at the bit because I couldn't really get started.
Okay, so obviously you're best known for Merlin, and then you went on to Homeland, to iZombie. How does it feel to have such a weird character progression in many ways?
You mean from Merlin to...
Yeah, in general, from moving on from Merlin to this.
I'm a drama school kid, so you kind of like from term to term you're doing different parts. And the drama school I went to throws you in a direction that you wouldn't be put in, which helps you adapt, I suppose. and makes you search for that change. I found myself in a position after Merlin where the opportunities were very Arthur-esque, and that didn't really interest me. So I sort of just found myself being patient, waiting for something to come along that was going to be, so much a departure from that. And Damien came along and instantly, not just the fact that it was different, it was the fact that it was well conceived and as you say, sort of drew that animation into my imagination and got me excited.
I have a question about Damien's psychological health. Is he feeling neurotic at all about being like he's son of Satan and he's kind of divided, like he's struggling with his humanity and his antichrist destiny? Like does he need therapy? Like how does it feel for you? Like is he struggling, or is he really a strong character who's pushing forward?
I was asked earlier a question that isn't the same as that, but it made me come up with the idea that of all the people for this burden to fall upon, if some would perceive it as a burden, Damien is probably the guy you would want it to fall on. And that's not necessarily because he is the best of us, it's just he is a good representation of humanity's moral code. Neither good nor bad, not just sort of, I'm Superman, I do everything that's good, not I'm pick a villain, I do everything that's bad. He is us. He is a representation of all us sat at this table, all the people who go day to day. That is Damien.
But you don't know who you are in the beginning, right? Or that's what the
there's not an articulation of it. There's an awareness of something strange in comparison to other people. Damien's life is not what everyone else's life seems to be, and so there is that awareness that there is something strange, but there's also, with that, becomes a desire to get away from it.
With this being a sequel kind of to the original film, did the original Omen sequels influence the series in any way, or you incorporate elements of that? Can we expect any influence from that?
We really leaned heavily on the first film. I mean, we're watched the second and third film, but they had started developing the character along a certain line, and that didn't feel right. So I'm sort of we are saying those are not part of our canon, and it's really just the first film, and so that's our starting point. We're taking it up from there.
Okay. Piggybacking up on that question, how is it going to be maybe stylistically or thematically different, given that this is a serialized telling of the story? I mean, how is that going to affect what seems to be, the movies kind of present his destiny as inevitable. Mm-hmm. And I assume that the show is going to take a different spin on that you mentioned free will earlier. Is there some element about telling the story episode to episode that's going to be different about how Damon is portrayed, or how he's going to know what he does and doesn't do?
What's fun about writing it as a TV series is that, as he's trying to gain control of his life, things happen that he doesn't want. So just like, on other shows that I've written on, say on The Shield, the guys would end up doing something and things go wrong. So, and you have these moments of horror, but you also have, I think, a lot of nice character moments as well. So there's really, what's been fun about taking that first film is it gave us a world, and it gave us a tone, and it gave us a lot to start with. And now you say, okay, let's revisit that world and sort of, freshen it up and visit it, as we're saying, 25 years down the road. So that's been, great to do. But I think there's something about the way we're telling the story that makes me feel like a TV show is the right way to examine this character. How does he live with it day to day? How do other people come into his life? How does what does it mean when something goes wrong to him? So I feel great about doing it as a show.
I think storytelling was maybe a bit more closer to black and white in the 70s, and nowadays with the evolution of television and the place where it's at the moment, you tell stories of various shades of grey that audiences relate to a lot more because they have evolved as audiences and how they receive stories and the depth that they're looking for. I think that's what the TV show does. It allows you to go into the depth that maybe a movie can't.
Thank you guys very much.
Okay, great, thank you. Thank you.